Good hello, Palmistry peers and pupils. Thank you for watching another random palm reading today. Something very different, a very unique hand. This person has an autoimmune disease, and for the past 2 to 3 years, this has in many ways reshaped their hands, their fingers, and their fingernails. So in this palm reading, I'm going to look at some very rare markings indeed, and I'm going to explain what I think these mean. And these markings are the this bowed Mercury line here that comes from Luna, reaches right up to Mercury. It's a health line, essentially. It's a Mercury line, or sometimes known as a liver line. I'm going to explain what this type of Mercury line means, why it's powerful, why it's unique, why it's profound. Also, there's what looks like a cross on Jupiter, not an X, as the cross is so often misinterpreted. This is powerful as well. This is very unique as well, and the two are linked. These are very strong signs. I'm going to explain what I think these mean. But also, the third powerful, unique, and profound marking here is this right here, and it's created out of the convergence of one of the major palmar lines and two minor lines, and it's a triangle on the Apollo mount. This is another very unique and powerful sign. So I'm going to get around to explaining what this means. But first of all, I'm just going to say that, obviously this is a very unique palm. And when it comes to physical health conditions like arthritis, like a broken bone, or an autoimmune disease that can reshape the hands and the fingers, the chirognomy, that is the shape of the palms and the fingers, is just not as reliable. And even the chirology as well is somewhat distorted here, the waviness of the lines. I'm not going to take into account so much the timing of events, and certain aspects about this reading are probably not going to be as accurate as I would like. And unfortunately for this person, astrology, numerology, or tarot might be a better way to understand the self better than palmistry, unfortunately, due to sheerly this autoimmune disease alone. Now, before I get around to explaining what these three palmar markings mean, and a few others, I'm going to read out their email. So I'm just going to summarize here. This person has a question around this Mercury line and the way that this secondary Mercury line sort of intersects here. I'm going to explain what this means. This person believes they have a Simian line. They don't. This is a Sydney line. This is different. This is a headline that reaches across the entire width of the palm, which is significant. It's profound, but it's not a Sydney line, a Simian line rather, because a Simian line is a headline and a heart line that is combined, and they can sometimes look something like this, and it can be very confusing. She then goes on to talk about her autoimmune disease that she's had for 2 to 3 years, and that she is 51. So there you have it. You know as much as me about this person now. This is a palm reading mostly for career and health. That was what she wanted to know about. But I'm going to get around to explaining what these powerful symbols mean, along with a couple of other things in this palm. So first things first, the cross here on Jupiter, and the difference between an X and a cross in palmistry is a bit frustrating, because this is an X, but everybody would, in all the palmistry books I've read, this is a cross. It's not the same thing. A cross found on Jupiter is a positive sign, actually. Crosses are not often that positive in palmistry, but this is, and it shows a sign of a healthy, long-lasting, a strong union, a faithful, monogamous, happy, peaceful, prosperous marriage, a long-lasting marriage. That's what a cross on Jupiter means. But that's what an X on Jupiter means, but it's almost always referred to as a cross, and that's why I just did. I confused myself. But a cross on Jupiter is very different. It's far more spiritual. It shows a spiritual awareness, a spiritual awakening, an empathic, psychic gift, a powerful psychic gift. Now, if you look closely, you can see here there is there are two ambition lines or effort lines that rise from the conjoined head and lifeline. Now, the conjoined head and lifeline, it shows a little bit about a person's nature. Something, a headline and a lifeline that's joined for this amount of time, shows someone who's very shy innately. This is the left hand. I've only got images of the left hand. So it shows what's internal. This person probably led quite a sheltered life. There's a lacking of confidence here, a lacking of independence. Perhaps they stayed and lived with their parents right up into their late 20s. It shows cautiousness. It shows a great deal of cautiousness, a cautious nature. So it's interesting that we've got this ambition here. The first one perhaps begins around the age of 16 and the second at 20 or so. And they overlap, although they're very different events. These are very inward, profound experiences that led them to want to rise to new places beyond. There's feelings of needing to get out and move on and experience new things. Although they're very different, they are also undoubtedly ultimately connected. And this merging of experiences here, these two experiences have in some way in this person's mind, they're connected, and it's awakened something in them. It's enabled this person to grow their empathic sensitivities, their intuition, their instincts. So this cross coming from the lifeline and the headline here, it shows this person's development of a psychic gift through two key events about 4 years apart, 16 and 20 roughly, but my timing is going to be a little off here just because my findings are distorted. Now, the second powerful, profound Palmer marking that I want to talk about here is this Mercury line. It comes from high up on Luna and it reaches up towards Mercury. Now, this is known as a bow of intuition. It's a type of Mercury line that's very rare. It's profound because, like the name suggests, it provides intuition. It enables a person to access meanings and messages in their dreams. They may well have premonitions, visions of the future. And it's likely that these are seemingly sort of random experiences and events that are unconscious, that they at the time aren't quite aware of, but when those events unfold, all of a sudden the experiences that they have had all seem to suddenly make sense, and they may well just sort of instinctively know when their loved ones or friends are, hurt or in danger and just pick up the phone. They may just sort of seem to somehow know when trouble is around the corner. But unfortunately, the pro and the cons here are merged, because we see here this is the general kind of Mercury line or health line, as it's sometimes referred to, and it joins this bow of intuition. And this is because, in mythology, where we have the seer or the shaman who they have to somehow lose part of themselves in order to gain foresight, there's a kernel of truth in this kind of trope in mythology, because and that's what the palmistry shows us, is that it almost appears as though this, in exchange for this gift which the person has been given, the price is poor health. It's an autoimmune disease. There are also some digestion issues seen here as well. Now, you've heard me say it a few times in palmistry, if you've watched any of my other videos, you can never diagnose from one sign or symptom alone. And although I have said some pretty specific and profound things about this one marking alone, the reason why I've already come to that conclusion is because of this bow of intuition. The two are linked and they amplify the effects of one another. Now, normally I wouldn't take it into as much consideration, but I already had, because I'd already seen these. So I do believe that this person has inherently a strong gift here, and it would seem almost in some cruel twist of fate that the price for this is an autoimmune disease although that's probably a pretty distasteful thing for me to say. That is just, an opinion, and I feel that's what the palmistry is telling me. The price here, however, is it almost seems worth it, because we see this success line that grows from this, almost as though it's coming from this poor health and this intuition at the same time. It's almost like this an X, but actually they're joined. They come into contact with one another. They actually touch, and this success that's essentially the roots of it come from this intuition, help begin to form success for this person, along with what appears to be some driving factor, some influence here, because from this Mars line, which was, I believe, by this person incorrectly identified as a secondary lifeline, this need for assistance in life to fight battles is developed at this time, right up until mid-30s. Well, during this time of fighting this battle, there arose an awakening of abilities, talents here, creativity. And it's around about the age of 24, and it reaches upwards, and it doesn't quite fully form, it doesn't seem, but it does travel up towards Apollo, and it creates this triangle by the formation of the heart line. Now, it's not completely profound because it's not completely isolated, but it still does have some bearing. So this person's intuition has some bearing on their creative gifts, and that makes sense because creativity and intuition both come from the unconscious side of the brain, the right side of the brain, the right hemisphere, and it's our dreams, it's our imagination, it's the awakening of the sleep. When we are in touch with and can connect with and access lunar, the passive side of our brain, the right hemisphere, the unconscious, the dreams, the imagination, we really tap into something powerful and unexplored. That's a good word to use here, actually, unexplored. This really is the place of exploration. Now, I have seen in other images, this person's thumb, although we can't see it here, is very strong. This person's ideas, what they feel about what they want to achieve and how they want to achieve it, they're both very strong. Will and logic within this person is strong, and I don't believe that this person's disease has hindered them. This person has a great use of their abilities over their body. They utilize their hands. I believe they're very creative, and I say this because the triangle on the Apollo mount shows a development of creative, high creation, high creative ability, almost scientific art. A level of creative ability has been awoken in this person to a degree of significant awareness. This person is well on the road to mastering their art, and this is all seen through these lines here, the convergence here of these minor lines along with the heart line, the major line. The love of the arts this person has is the sort of bedrock, the foundation, the belief in themselves as well, how they feel plays a big role actually in how they've managed to develop their skills. And actually, I've not really talked about skills, but this person has a great many, and I know this. Now, although the career line is on the wavy side, so too are all of the lines, and again I believe that is because of this disease. It's distorting the findings here in palmistry. So I'm not going to pay too much attention to that kind of wavy nature of the career or fate line. However, I will say that the overall direction of the career line seems to stem towards Jupiter, and that makes sense. If you're mastering your abilities, then there's a demand. People acknowledge that knowledge that you have, and there's a demand there for for you to pass on that information, for you to teach others, to demonstrate your skills. And it's often a very sort of reasonable a necessary path to take when you master something. It sort of falls to you to pass on this information and this knowledge. With, as I say, great power comes great responsibility. So it's clear to me that this person has highly creative abilities, and to the point of having extrasensory almost ability to untap into the unconscious realms to a level that is psychic. Now, the headline here, forgetting how wavy it is, the fact that it reaches across the entire length of the palm, this is known as a Sydney line. Now, a headline that reaches across the entire length of a person's palm is an undeniable high intellect, and likely a person who's very good with numbers, economically able inherently. There's skills here with money that looks likely, especially as we see here a rising upwards, a forking of this headline upwards onto outer Mars. Planning, this person's ability to plan, their administrative skills are incredibly strong. Now, the life and the headline being tied for so long, as I've said, yes, it's shyness, it's a lack of confidence, but it's also caution. And this cautious behavior around how this person makes their money, because that's what these forking of this, the end of the headline shows here. This person is planning towards building security for the future. They do this in a very calculated and cautious way. This is in a very intelligent way. A headline that reaches across the entire length of a person's palm, it shows a lateral thinker. It shows someone who's clearly able to think ahead, and it's also one of the signs of fame in palmistry, because it's a sign that a person's choices, their decisions, their academic consequences, if you like, affect the lives of many. Now, I've already gone over it a little bit, but this person incorrectly, I believe, identified this line as a secondary lifeline. Actually, I believe this is a Mars line. Mars is the god of war. When we need to fight our battles, we rely on Mars. This inner Mars area here is the place of aggression, drive, and motivation. It's challenge, it's action. And so when we fight a legal battle, a physical, literal battle, we rely on this conscious, quick thinking ability to activate and action here. It's what we need when we fight for our loved ones as well. So when we are fighting cancer as well, we rely on this. When we have health issues as well, the Mars line is strong with people with health issues. And it looks as though from the age of up to around about 35, the Mars line is strong. But where that begins to break away, that's when we can start to see health issues arise, because we no longer have that assistance from Mars, so to speak. And it's during these times here, leading up to this breakdown of health here, we see the lifeline not quite as strong after this time. There are strong influences to support, and at the same time, in particular this one here, this is very strong. This was a very trying time, probably around about the age of 32 maybe. Their career was impacted in some way, and they really needed help from home. And I think that mid-30s likely saw some hospitalisation here. We can see a square here by the convergence of this Mars line and the fate line, sort of Mars influence fate, and it's all created this and being on the left hand, this is actually a fear of isolation from society, a fear of hospitalisation. Now, the last thing I really want to mention about this person's palm is the resets here. Notice you've got 4 relatively very well formed resets. In medieval palmistry, each of these would add 25 to 30 years to a person's life. So you could expect someone with 4 to live up to the age of 100. I mean, the lines can and do change all the time, especially the minor lines. However, I do see this person succeeding, having a long and very important career. I think they will affect the lives of many. I think they will end up in a position of authority, of respectable advancements. They will be understood and recognized as an expert in their field. I think they will land in some sort of teaching, lecturing role. Perhaps a professor. They might gain a sort of master's in something or other. As I say, they're strong commerce, administrative skills, strong planner. I think, obviously this disease is and will affect them, but I don't think it will prevent them from doing what it is that they are truly good at. I mean, I could be wrong about this here. I don't think I am. The second way of interpreting this is it's possible that this is an inheritance line, and actually the line comes from the other direction, which would mean that someone has lost a loved one but has one door is closed and another opened, in the sense of inheritance. It's incredibly bittersweet when you lose a loved one and they leave you lots of money, and that might have been the case here, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to go with my first interpretation, but this is one of two interpretations for me. It's one or the other. So I suppose we'll see around that. I think this person has a lot of friends, a lot of people that they find inspiring. There's a lot of personal inspiration here from a close and strong family unit, I think. So that's this person's reading. Let me know what your thoughts are here. Let me know what your thoughts are on these powerful readings. The X on Jupiter, the triangle on Apollo, and of course the bow of intuition. These three markings are rare, and to find them all on one palm is even more rare. Very unique person indeed, and I don't feel that this is a coincidence to find them all three have some strong significance here. So perhaps you have one or more of these signs on your palms. Let me know what your thoughts are, and if you've got any questions, as always, please email me at piscespalmist@gmail.com. Not the old palm read at protonmail.com. That one's dead now. Unfortunately, Proton decided to scramble my emails. I don't understand why. So if I haven't messaged you back, if I have not emailed you back from my Proton email address, that is why, and I am sorry. So please email me. If you've not heard from me, email me at my piscespalmist@gmail.com, and I will get back to you at some point. I am very slow to respond, but I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.